A conversation with one of my viewers reminded me of the importance of breaking down a problem into small pieces and testing each part individually. For that purpose, I've created this dedicated video on using MIDI with the microbit. This video is slightly longer than usual, but as I've left in where I've encountered problems along the way, and you can see how I overcame them. The first step in this process is to create the simplest code for the microbit that exports MIDI. First, open the Make Code microbit website, I've linked this in description, and start a new project. After giving the project a name, we need to add the MIDI tools to the editor. As you can see, by default they are not included. Click on the Extensions tab and in the search box look for MIDI. We want the standard MIDI package, indicated by the arrow which I've added here. Once the package has been installed, by double clicking on it, it will appear on the left hand side. We need two blocks from it. The first block is MIDI use raw serial, which is located at the bottom. This goes into the startup of the microbit. The second block we need for this simple code is MIDI play tone middle C for 1 bar. You can pick whichever note you would like, but I have left it as default for simplicity. This goes into the loop. The live preview will now run the code, which results in a frequent middle C tone. To make this a little more pleasant, I have added a pause from the basic menu of 1 second to create a steady pulse, which will be easily recognisable when testing in the later stages. The code is now finished. Save and download the file. By default it downloads to your download folder. Plug in your microbit using the USB cable and it will appear as a removable drive like a memory stick. Copy the file from your downloads folder onto the microbit. After the file is finished copying, the microbit will restart and the file will disappear from the microbit as it's been successfully uploaded. The next step is to download the 2 pieces of software needed to bridge the MIDI data from your microbit to your DAW or synthesizer. These pieces of software have been created by individuals, so download at your own risk. The first piece of software required is Hairless Midi. I've added a link in the description. Navigate to the Downloads page and select the Windows option. This tutorial is only for Windows as I have no ability to test it on Mac. Once the file has been downloaded, extract the contents of the zip folder. You do not need to install the application as it runs from the application file. From the serial port drop-down menu, select the COM port which your microbit is attached to. The COM port is another name for the USB port. If you are unsure about what port your microbit is attached to, look at the list and then unplug your microbit. One of the ports should disappear from the list. This is the one you are looking for. When you plug it back in, it should reappear. The green dot should be blinking once per second, as that is what the pause we set when we program the microbit. Under the MIDI out drop-down, check to see if you have any options that came with your DAW, but in my experience you do require an additional piece of software of LoopMIDI. The only option I had was Microsoft GS Wavetable Synth, but this is not useful for what we wanted to do. I've added a link to the LoopMIDI website in the description. This again is created by an individual, so download at your own risk. After you downloaded the file, extract in the same way as the last file. You have to install this software by double clicking on the setup file. This will bring up a pop-up window. Choose if you would like a shortcut on your desktop and agree to the terms and conditions. I always uncheck auto start when logged in to limit the number of background processes when I'm not using the software. This means that the program will only run when you open it. The WHQL warning is because it contains a driver that may not have passed the Windows Hardware Certification program. Once happy with your choices, click on Install. After it's finished installing, launch the program. To add LoopMIDI as an option to the Hairless Midi output drop-down, you first need to create a new virtual port. This can be easily done by clicking on the plus sign on the LoopMIDI window. Now the drop-down will include a new option of LoopMIDI port. Once selected, the signal should now run from your microbit to the LoopMIDI port. You may need to unplug and replug your microbit, or click on the output drop down again for everything to find each other. Both dots should then blink. To add LoopMIDI as the MIDI input for Ableton Live 10, click on Options and then select Preferences. Under the MIDI tab, select LoopMIDI port as input for channel 1 and then close the window. Click on the icon that looks like a clock on the virtual instrument channel you wish to receive MIDI. This will then turn red. The instrument is now listening for MIDI. You may need to reselect LoopMIDI from the MIDI out in Hairless Midi for everything to work together. It now should work, and you should hear the pulsing with 1-second pauses from the initial microbit code. In my cardboard guitar tutorial, I was unhappy about using the paid software of Ableton Live, as it is an additional barrier to entry. So this part is a demonstration of the same code working with Midi City, a free online synth. Link in the description. Once you've loaded up the website and select the instrument you would like, select the LoopMIDI port from the Input tab at the bottom of the screen. You can now see the note C flashing as it receives the MIDI data. To make it create sound, you have to check that the window is not muted and then click on another note. I hope this has helped.